Hey everybody, welcome back. So as you can see, I'm rocking my blues gear today. I got my eyeshadow on, I got my earrings on. I took my hat off because it was hot out here, but basically I'm dressed like this because tonight the St. Louis Blues play in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, which is a huge deal because we have not been in a long time. If you didn't know, we live in St. Louis. We keep all of our Airstreams in St. Louis. We sell them out of here. We renovate them out of St. Louis. We're very proud of our city. We're proud of where we live, and we're excited to watch the Blues play tonight. I am currently sitting in our latest addition to our collection of Airstreams. This is Gloria, and she is a 31-foot. She is a rear bedroom, which we're really excited about. We love doing center baths. We're still up in the air about what we're gonna do with her, but we will be filming a lot. She will be getting renovated in some way or another, and so I will record a lot of what's going to happen with her. For today's video, I wanted to do a little Q&A and answer some of our most frequently asked questions. We get asked a lot of questions on Instagram, on Facebook, and on our YouTube channel, and I see lots of people asking a lot of the same questions, so I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and just record a little Q&A of our most frequently asked questions and hopefully help some of you guys out. One of the questions we get asked a lot is how we find our Airstreams. Obviously, there are all different ways you can go about finding a used Airstream if that's what you're looking for. We have been very successful on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist as well. I generally tell people that you need to be searching far outside of the radius of where you live probably to find the perfect travel trailer. On the West Coast, I really recommend that you try searching closer to the Midwest, Colorado, the South. You're going to get a better deal. The trailers are more expensive on either coast, but particularly the West Coast, since the cost of living is so high out there and there's a higher demand for campers. We live in the Midwest, so we get lucky that we typically find our units pretty nearby of people who either inherited the unit or it's sat on their farm for years, and so they're trying to get rid of it, and that's how we've bought all of our units so far. There are also other sites like Airstream Classifieds. Airstream Hunter is a big one on Facebook. I'll link those sites in the description below and you can check them out as well. How do I know what a used Airstream is worth? We get asked this a lot. We have a lot of people send us pictures of Airstreams that they found, wanting to know if the price that the seller is offering is fair. And this one is really tough because every Airstream is in a different condition. Some Airstreams have been meticulously maintained, stored inside, used barely at all by families. Other Airstreams were schlepped around the entire country, stored in a barn or even out in an open field, and it's hard to tell what their condition is. There is a website, the NADA, which is a general guideline owned by J.D. Power, which of course is one of the biggest companies that deals with price valuing of vehicles. You can check there. However, it gets a little trickier when your Airstream is older. I recommend either finding an expert on one of the Facebook forums like Airstream Addicts or emailing somebody like us pictures and location of your listing and give us a general description of what it looks like, and we're happy to tell you what we would pay for a similar Airstream. Keep in mind though, value is in the eye of the beholder, and so you might decide that because of where you live and the convenience of picking it up changes what you're willing to pay. I will point out though that you need to remember that when you buy the Airstream, the first and most important thing you need to find out is if the tires are towable and if the electric works. If you are going to need tires to tow your Airstream off of whatever lot or land it's sitting on, you're looking at easily another $400 to $800 minimum to get the Airstream off the land. So don't get too excited about the price without first researching if it has tires and if it can be towed. Do we recommend a frame-off restoration? This is a big debate in the Airstream restoration community because people feel very differently about this topic. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying what my opinion on it is, but here it goes. I personally don't believe that you need to do a frame-off restoration unless you know for a fact that your frame has rust or is damaged, or if you plan on living in your trailer full-time for more than 5 years and traveling quite a bit. For us personally, we go to the lake, we go to our friend's property, we take a couple trips a year, so the fact that our frame is pretty straight, in pretty good condition, has never been near salt water, and that we can't see a lot of rust, we personally have never done a frame-off restoration. I applaud the people who are able to do that or who have the time to do that or want to be that meticulous. However, there are some downsides to taking off the frame, namely the fact that the flooring, the subfloor underneath your flooring, is actually sandwiched between the frame and the outer shell. So there's a C channel where the frame sits in between, and once you mess with that, you mess with the integrity of the Airstream itself. And so for us personally, we haven't had an Airstream in poor enough condition that we've needed to do a frame off restoration for. But I would recommend, if you do buy a camper that is in bad shape or has some dip in the back or has rust, of course you should do a frame off restoration if you're capable of it. We have not done one yet, and we have not had any problems not doing a frame off. Okay, so these are some questions we get all the time about our first restoration of Penelope. One of the main questions I get asked constantly is what I did with our Vista View windows. The answer to this is not going to be one you want to hear. It was awful. So we ripped out the Vista View windows and the shades that are included in the Vista View windows. If you're looking for the simple way out, I would tell you that if you can try to save those and paint them, that's what I would do. However, they aren't that appealing, they're not that updated, and I get it, you want to do something more modern. We ended up using a strip of framing O and cutting relief cuts at the corner and screwing that to the inside of another piece of framing that we attached inside the skins. It was a very DIY project, lots of caulk, lots of silicone, lots of paint, and it was not a project we were super proud of. And just so you know, we did disclose that to the people that bought the Airstream, so they were made aware that we weren't in love with what we had done with the Vista View windows. I have seen people do other things. Then once we had the interior covered with the framing L that we shaped, we then used a birch piece and cut out the frame around the outside and attached that to the front, riveted it to the skins and painted it. I will say there are other better examples on Pinterest and Instagram of what other people have done with their Vista View windows. A lot of people seem to love ours, and I will tell you, they did not look as good in person as they did on camera. So don't be dejected if your Vista View windows aren't looking that great. That was one of the hardest and most frustrating parts of our first renovation. Luckily, our next two renovations don't have Vista View windows. How did we install our shower curtain? Basically, we used 1/2-inch copper that my husband bent and shaped in the shape of an arch to fit. We then used plumbing strap, copper plumbing strap, to rivet it to the side of one side of the shower and on the wall on the other side of the shower. Then I just used a regular curtain that we cut to fit in the space along with the regular curtain shower handles. What type of insulation did we use? Okay, this is one I see all the time because everybody has their own opinion of what they think the insulation should be in their Airstream. I will tell you there are several ways you can do it, and my honest opinion is that any way you go about it, your camper is still not going to be that well insulated. It's still going to get hot very easily. It's still going to get very cold very easily because this is only about 3/4 of an inch between the interior and the exterior wall, and it's just impossible to make it as warm as you really want it to be. But we started with foam insulation and quickly realized that that probably wasn't the best way to go. Since doing the first Airstream, we have learned that doing foam insulation in a moving vehicle isn't the best idea because the foam can crack and bend and drop to the ground and no longer be insulating. Whether or not that really happens, I'm not sure. That's just what I've read. We used foam insulation, and then we switched once we got past the beginning and used rock wool. We cut the rock wool in half with a keyhole saw, which made it very easy to slice down the middle of the rock wool. We used spray adhesive, attached the rock wool, and then I even used some extra just masking tape to make sure that they stayed up there until we were able to put the skin back on. On our next remodel, we are going to do rock wool along with Reflectix. A lot of people swear by putting the Reflectix in first, closest to the outer skin, and then the rock wool towards the interior. But lots of people say you still need to give it room to breathe, and there's an ongoing debate about what the best system is, but that's what we did, is rock wool. Regular toilet or composting toilet? This is one of my favorite questions to answer, and let me tell you why. We are not super nomadic. We're not completely off the grid kind of people. We're pretty excited that we recycle and we drive a Prius, and that's about the extent of what we're doing currently and unfortunately to help our environment. So to say that we were excited about getting a composting toilet is not really the case. So I will tell you that if you're like us and you're a normal family who lives in a home and only uses their camper to travel, and you're wondering, should we do a composting toilet or should we not? I will tell you the answer is you should. We love our composting toilet. We had a regular toilet in the first first camper, and I remember taking 1 or 2 trips to the dump station, and the smell is horrible. Sometimes there's a wait in line. Sometimes if you're camping somewhere longer than a few days, you have to have what my husband loves to refer to as his turd toter, which is a huge thing that you have to end up packing with all your camping stuff. And it's still pretty gross, hooking up the sewer line, hooking it up to the dump station, having the ability to then wash your hands after you use it. It's just a big mess. And we decided with our next one that we were going to go the composting toilet route, and I'm so glad we did. It does not smell at all. Contrary to what you might believe, it actually smells less, because since you're separating the urine from the, what should I call it? Solids? We'll call it solids. Since you're separating the liquid from the solid, you're no longer creating sewage, which is saving you from having that horrible sewage smell, which sometimes you can still smell through your black tank. When you have the compost, you're closing the lid, the fan is drawing out any moisture that's in there, and honestly, it just smells like dirt, and emptying it just feels like you're emptying dirt. And it is the best purchase we've made, and our friends used our camper and they ranted and raved about the composting toilet as well. So I highly recommend, if you can at all afford it, go the composting toilet route. You're not going to regret it. It's been very great for us on all of our trips and not having to have the inconvenience of stopping at the dump station. Do we recommend that you buy cabinetry from a place like IKEA and modify it to install, or build your own? This again is totally personal preference. Honestly, my opinion is the way these things are shaped, if you try to buy cabinetry that's already been built, you're probably going to drive yourself crazy trying to make sure that you make all the proper cuts, and you could end up wasting some pretty expensive cabinets. My personal favorite is to go the wood route, whether it be that you go a more affordable wood route that you can paint and caulk, or you do some higher end wood that you plan on staining to have a wood look. If you build your own cabinets, you're going to be much happier with the result. You can make little bitty drawers, little bitty shelves in places that you didn't think you would be able to. And my personal belief is that at the end of the day, you'll be happier if you choose to go that route. And it's honestly not that complicated, and I think probably even easier than trying to modify something that isn't meant to fit in this space. Where did I get my curtain rods from? Very good question. I did not love my curtain rods in Penelope, and again, I disclosed that to the buyer. She can vouch for that. We just went with little thin curtain rods from Home Depot. They were $4 or $5. They bend pretty easily, and I was able to rivet the clips on instead of screwing the clips on, and so it worked pretty well. If you're looking for a cheap, affordable solution, I will link those curtain rods below, and then I just sewed my curtains myself with some of my favorite fabric. You can buy the clips. I will say, moving forward with our renovations, if we are able to save the original track that Airstream had in the system, we will, because then we can just buy new clips, make curtains, and use those, because I did labor a lot about the curtain rods and what to do, but we ultimately just went with an affordable curtain rod from Home Depot. What kind of paint did we use? Okay, this is another big debate that you'll see on a lot of the Airstream restoration pages. There are lots of ways to go about doing the paint on the interior. Obviously, you need to think about what the original surface is that you're going to be prepping, whether it be the original vinyl skins that are in here or your laminated cabinetry with a veneer over it. There's going to be 2 different methods. I recommend definitely getting a strong bonding primer to start off with. If you're going to paint over this, you're going to need to follow some pretty in-depth tutorials about doing a liquid sander, making sure that it's going to be scratch resistant, and using the right primer for that. For us personally, since we built new cabinets and the cabinets were made of wood, we used a paint and primer in one on the cabinetry. On the skins, we used Kills primer followed by a latex paint and primer in one. And last but not least, the #1 question that we get asked all the time is about our shower in Penelope. We made the mistake of throwing away the shower pan, which we will not be doing in this one. I understand everybody wants the cool tiled shower. I get it. The debate can go on and on about whether or not you should tile your Airstream. I personally am hesitant about tiling a moving vehicle. We do a lot of tile in homes, and even in home projects, the grout cracks, and I worry about leaks. So we have not done tile in a shower yet, although I'm sure we will give it a go, as there are some pretty cool products out there. So what we had to do was buy a new shower pan and modify the bathroom to fit that shower pan. We purchased an Icon shower pan that was 24 inches by 27 inches, and to the best of my research, that is the smallest shower pan you can find for your RV. We built it up a little bit, and we did use a P-trap that does not have to be a full P-trap. I will link that below. Super cool item to purchase. It allows you to have less height issues because you don't have to build up the shower pan so high, and it worked beautifully for us. And for the walls, we used plastic sheeting from Home Depot, and then plastic trim pieces that we then silicone and used waterproof caulking and kind of put it all together. So the bench was a Corian countertop, which is obviously waterproof, and we basically set the plastic sheeting over the interior lip of the shower pan to help prevent any water from leaking, and we glued the plastic sheeting walls on to a base panel behind these shower walls. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. I tried to answer based on what we've done, not necessarily just on research I've read about others. There's a million ways to do different things. I highly recommend that you do research on any topic that you're worried about. If you have any questions or comments or things that you don't understand or that you're worried about with your Airstream, please feel free to email us. I've got our email address listed below, and we hope that you continue to check out our videos as we continue our next renovation. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video if it was useful to you at all, and we will see you next time. Go Blues!